Talking about structural changes to asset allocation, another topic that is quite significant is ESG, and it's continuously growing. It's something that many investors are focused on now. And JP Morgan recently noted that investing in ESG does not mean sacrificing returns. So could you elaborate on JP Morgan's philosophy and approach to measurement, especially since ESG covers issues as wide-ranging as climate risk and diversity, just to name a few?
2020 is going to really be remembered as a watershed year for ESG. It was an explosive year for issuance. We saw green social sustainability bonds issuance increase sevenfold to reach $150 billion. We see a green bond asset class that's approaching $1.5 trillion. But we also saw the rise of the S and the G. So it's not just about climate change. All of the issues related to inequality have come, and whether it is gender, race, you have come into focus right now. And we really are seeing ESG adoption occurring at the company level across all sectors right now, not just at the macro level. It's becoming much more financially material for companies to be on top of these issues and to be providing greater transparency. And ESG data sources are now moving away from just disclosure about ESG risk towards more capturing the intention and the behavior. The other thing that we've really seen is an accelerated change in the timeline since Biden has come to office, come back into the Paris Agreement. I mean, 2030 is sort of the new 2050 for a number of developed market countries which have moved up their timelines to decarbonize. And that's led to growing interest in alternative energy. There's been a real focus on hydrogen, lately. So what approach are we taking to this? Well, we've tried to come up with more ways in which you can invest into ESG and that you can also score ESG risk. So we had launched the ESG indexes back in 2018. And what we've really seen is a big increase in the AUM that's tracked against those indexes. I mean, this had sort of stagnated for a couple of years, but then we actually saw AUM double, and we think it'll reach about 45 billion by the end of the year against our indexes. We also have an ESGQ scoring system that we use to rate the companies as far as their ESG metrics. And we try to come up with indicators that are not just negative indicators, but also ones that do show more the intentional transformation that's underway by companies. And we've seen Europe continue to lead on this issue, but many US companies are now putting in these voluntary targets like JP Morgan for when they will hit basically a carbon neutral target. And so this has been a big sea change. At the beginning of COVID, everybody wondered whether this would actually take away, because just resources to fight COVID would take away from ESG. It's really just amplified the importance of ESG, which has now become really a must-have, just not just a nice-to-have for companies and corporations as they are looking at the shareholder activism, what's coming from employees, and moving away from to much more of a stakeholder capitalism view at this point, and away from just the shareholder.
That makes a lot of sense, and it resonates with us. Our organization has also been focusing quite a bit on ESG. In fact, we just published a report on gold and climate change, and in particular focusing on the impact or the effect of decarbonizing investment portfolios and the role that gold can play there. As investors in particular look to net zero contributions in those portfolios. But generally speaking, as you were referring to, I think that 2020 did create this catalyst to put more emphasis, and it's really interesting to see those trends continue to develop. Joyce, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really a real pleasure as usual talking to you, and we appreciate your visit.
Oh, it's great to be with you today, and thanks so much for the conversation. I really look forward to keeping in touch.